The South African sunset filtered through the gaps of the field, tent painting vibrant orange streaks across. The air was thick with the smell of antiseptic, mingled with the dry savanna grass. Dust particles hung suspended in the weak light, glistening. Dr. Sam wiped sweat from his forehead. His sun-wathered face was etched with lines of concern, his deep blue eyes intensely focused in those eyes was also amazement at what he was witnessing. His calloused hands moved gently, but precisely. One hand held the antibiotic syringe, the other stroked the once brilliant, now ragged golden fur of Ma, the aging female cheetah. He slowly inserted the needle into her emaciated body, careful not to cause additional pain. Mila's ribs showed clearly beneath her loose skin, each breath shallow and labored. The old radio on the folding table emitted intermittent static. Occasionally voices of other researchers came through, only to be replaced by the sounds of the Savannite hyena, Call's vulture cries, and the distant deep roar of a male lion. Dr. Sam's gaze shifted from Ma to the dark corner of the tent. There Leo, the adult bobcat, sat crouched, body tense and ready. His spotted coat stood on end, especially along his back and neck, signaling readiness to attack if necessary. Leo's eyes glowed amber like two pieces of topaz under the oil lamp. Never leaving Dr. Sam for even a second, those eyes held a mix of emotion, primal fear of humans, fierce protection, and a silent plea finishing the injection. Dr. Sam murmured in his distinctive South African accent, 10 years in this national park, and I've never seen anything like this, a bobcat and a cheetah as if they were family. Mila stirred slightly, eyes fluttering open, then shutting again. In pain immediately, Leo shifted, becoming more tense, yet remaining in position. There was something in the way Leo looked at Mela, a deep concern and affection that transcended instinct. Dorsum placed his hand on Mela's forehead, sighing with relief as he felt her fever had subsided. He pulled a voice recorder from his pocket and said, July 15, 2023. Southern Research Camp Conservation Area. For days now, this bobcat has been inseparable from this female cheetah suffering from severe pneumonia. Every natural law says this shouldn't happen. Bobcats and cheetahs are not pack animals and certainly not natural friends. He paused, looking deeply into Leo's eyes. What has bonded these two creatures? How did a bobcat risk approaching humans to save a cheetah? As darkness enveloped the tent, Dr. Sam lit another oil lamp, creating a warm circle of light around Amma. He checked her vital signs again, then sat down on a folding chair, deciding to stay awake. Through the night in the dark corner, Leo finally relaxed his body after hours of tension, still watching Mila the bobcat, slowly curled up, head still alert. But gradually exhaustion, after many sleepless days, took over the amber eyes, slowly closed. Breathing becoming regular, Leo had fallen asleep for the first time after many nights of sleepless vigil. Beside Mila, Dr. Sam's question still echoed in the quiet space like dust motes. Glistening under the oil lamp, the 2015 drought engulfed South Africa's savannahry. Grass rustled under the light steps of Ma. A female cheetah in her prime, her slender form, traced graceful curves against the fiery red sunset sky. But in Mila's eyes was only pain. 3 days earlier, poachers had taken her cubs. This was the second time Mila had lost her children. The first being to starvation a year before. The tiny cries of her cubs echoed in Mila's mind as she wandered aimlessly across the parched land. A red sandstorm struck, suddenly wind howled around Melabut. Her sensitive ears still caught a different sound, the feeble cry of Asmal creature hunting instincts. Awakened, Mela approached a withered acacia tree under the roots. A tiny creature was curled up. Not a baby gazelle as Ma had thought, but a newborn bobcat, perhaps only a few weeks old. His frail body trembled, his blue eyes cloudy from dehydration. His mother had abandoned him, or worse, had become a victim of the drought. Mila stood motionless. Instinct told her this wasn't their cub, not her species, not her responsibility, but the pain of losing her cubs was still fresh. She sniffed the baby bobcat, the wound on his shoulder. Needed care, no conscious decision was made. Mila gently took the bobcat cub by the scruff as she had done with her own cubs and carried him to her small den near the oasis. The first days were a battle for survival. Mila hunted small prey, chewed food for the bobcat cub, whom she had begun to think of as Leo. She taught him to drink from water puddles, how to hide from larger predators. Leo grew quickly under Mela's care from a tiny creature who could only make weak cries. Lo became a playful bobcat cub, always following Mila everywhere. Mila patiently taught Leo to hunt lizards, mice, and small prey, suitable for his size over time. This strange relationship deepened. Leo never strayed too far from Mila. At night, they slept curled together in Tharok den, Mila's warmth protecting Leo from the cold desert night. During the day, they explored their territory, together with Ma, always alert to any dangers. Years passed. Leo grew into a strong adult bobcat but remained attached to his adoptive mother. Sometimes Leo would disappear for a few days to explore his own territory, but always returned to Ma. They established a territory near the small oasis, with enough water and food. For both, wildlife researchers in the conservation area occasionally spotted this strange pair from afar through camera lenses. They never believed their eyes. A cheetah and bobcat living as family, a phenomenon never before documented in nature. Early 2023, the rainy season came late and was brief in South Africa. The small oasis home to Mela and Leo shrank considerably, but it wasn't lack of water that began to drain Mila's strength at 13. Mila had far exceeded the average lifespan of wild cheetahs. Her once brilliant golden coat was now dull and thin. Her legs, once capable of astonishing speed, were now slow and painful. But the most concerning change began one morning when Mila caught up blood. Leo noticed the change. Immediately, the adult bobcat was now strong and agile but maintained a deep bond with his adoptive mother. Leo watched as Ma tried to drink water but coughed violently. Mila tried to hide her weakness, but Leo wasn't fooled. From that day, Leo began hunting for both of them. Cheetahs typically hunt larger prey, gazelles, young zebras, but Leo could only bring down rabbits and small gazelles. Leo brought fresh prey, placing it before Mila, waiting patiently, but Mila ate very little. The coughing fits grew worse. Mila visibly lost weight, ribs protruding beneath loose skin. She spent most of her time lying in the shade, breathing heavily. Her once sharp golden eyes were now cloudy and pained. Leo was desperate one night as Mela shivered with fever. Leo remembered seeing Ma search for anchu, certain special leaves. When injured, for 3 days Leo explored their territory. Searching for the herbs Mila had used, Leo brought back several leaves, placing them before Mila. But they had no effect. With each passing day, Leo grew more desperate. Mila could barely stand anymore. Her breathing was shallow and labored. During the long nights, Leo stayed awake beside Mila, feeling her warmth gradually fading. During one hunting trip, Leo accidentally ventured further than usual and discovered air search camp at the southern edge of the conservation area. Instinct told Leo to stay away. Mila had taught that since Leo was small, but Leo remained hidden in the bushes, observing for several days. Leo monitored the camp's activities. There was a man who often worked alone, Dr. Sam, a wildlife researcher. Leo watched him care for a young elephant with an injured leg, bandaging the wound and giving injections. The elephant calf gradually recovered and could walk again. Leo experienced intense internal conflict. Every instinct warned that humans were the greatest danger. Mila had taught Leo to avoid humans at all costs, but Leo had also seen Dr. Sam heal the injured elephant calf. One rainy night, Leo returned to the den and found Mila lying motionless in a moment of terror. Leo thought Mila was gone, but then he noticed her chest still rising and falling weakly. She was still alive, but perhaps not for long. Leo stood in the rain, water streaming down his thick fur. The decision was made. There was no other choice that night. Leo didn't sleep. The bobcat sat beside Mela as if trying to memorize every feature of his adoptive mother. When the first dawn light appeared, Leo licked Ma's cheek one last time, then disappeared into the thick brush, heading toward the human camp. Early morning mist still lingered on the ground. As Leo approached the research camp, the bobcat moved like a shadow, hiding among the bushes. Leo's heart pounded in his chest. Every instinct in his body urged him to flee. Dr. Sam sat alone outside his tent, drinking coffee and writing in his journal. Leo had observed long enough to know that at this hour Dr. Sam usually worked alone. Leo thought of Mela dying in Thedon. There was no more time for hesitation. Leo stepped out from the bushes into the human's view. Dr. Sam froze. The coffee cup fell from his hand. The two beings stared at each other, time seeming to stand still. Leo didn't leave, didn't attack. Instead, the bobcat took a few steps south, then stopped and looked back at Dr. Sam. Leo continued this strange pattern. Walking a few steps, stopping, turning back. Each time he stopped. Leo looked toward the distant oasis. After minutes of hesitation, Dr. Sam decided to take a risk. He slowly stood up, took his medical bag, and followed the Bobcat, keeping a safe distance. Leo led the way, occasionally stopping to ensure. Dr. Sam was still following. They crossed the savanna grassland, past thorny bushes, approaching the small oasis. Leo accelerated as they neared the rock den. When Dr. Sam entered the den, the sight before him left him stunned. An elderly female cheetah lay on the ground, breathing weakly. What amazed him most was how Leo immediately ran to the cheetah, tenderly licking her face. The cheetah's eyes flickered open, a faint spark of recognition when she saw Leo had returned. Dr. Sam immediately recognized the serious situation. The female cheetah, whom he would later name Mila, was in the final stages of lung infection. There was no time to return to camp for more equipment. He had to act immediately with what he had in his medical bag. Leo watched vigilantly as Dursum approached. Ma, the Bobcat, didn't attack, but his body remained tense, ready to protect his adoptive mother. If necessary, Dr. Sam worked quickly, injecting high-doses antibiotics, setting up a fluid drip, checking vital signs. After completing the initial treatment, Dr. Sam placed a water bottle and dried meat beside Mila, then quickly returned to camp for more equipment. He came back with full medical supplies, a field tent, and food and water for several days. Dursum moved Mila to a flat area near the oasis, set up the field tent, and established a temporary medical station. Leo followed closely, never leaving his adoptive mother's side for the next 3 days. Dr. Sam didn't leave the tent. Administered antibiotics, provided oxygen from a portable tank, and closely monitored Mila's condition. He cleaned Mila's lungs, suctioning thick pus, and regularly changed bandages on an old wound on her left leg. Leo never left the tent, always vigilant but gradually accepting Dr. Sam's presence. Sometimes when Dr. Sam worked to exhaustion and dozed off beside Mila, Leo would hunt and bring back prey, leaving it outside the tent like a gift. By the 4th day, Mila began showing clear signs of recovery. She ate a little meat for the first time since treatment began. The coughing fits decreased. Her golden eyes slowly regained their light. Dr. Sam began recording all his observations. Their relationship between Mila and Leo was an unprecedented scientific discovery. But he also knew that if this news spread, the rock den would soon be sought out by curious onlookers and poachers. After 2 weeks of treatment, Mila was strong enough to stand and walk around the den. Leo hunted small rabbits, bringing them back for Mila. The elderly cheetah still too weak to hunt. Dr. Sam gradually reduced his visits, giving the unusual pair their privacy. Dr. Sam never published his full discovery to the wider world. Instead, he established a secret protected area around the oasis with sensors for remote monitoring. Sometimes he brought food when the dry season made prey scarce, but always kept his distance to avoid disrupting their natural life. One late afternoon, as the sunset painted the savanna sky red, Dursum sat in his jeep at a distance, watching through binoculars. Mila and Leo lay together on a flat rock near the den, enjoying the last rays of sun. No one could say they weren't mother and child. Love doesn't require the same species, doesn't need the same blood. Dr. Sam smiled, closing his notebook. On the last page he wrote, "In this harsh, wild world, love still finds a way to bloom, even between creatures that nature never intended to be family." 3 months later, rock den. On a rainy night, Ma lay in Theden, her breathing growing weaker. Old age and the illness had taken their toll. Despite the treatment, Leo lay beside her, his head resting on Mila's neck. Feeling her faint breaths, Mila opened her eyes swollen last time, looking at Leo with eyes full of maternal love. Then her golden eyes slowly closed, breathing stopped, heart stopped beating. Mila had passed away peacefully beside the child she had rescued and raised. Leo didn't leave Mila for 3 days. The Bobcat lay beside his adoptive mother's body, refusing to eat or drink. When Dr. Sam discovered this, through the monitoring camera he came, immediately burying Mila near the rock den, under an acacia tree like the one where Leo had been found. After Mila's passing, Leo continued to live around the oasis, but strangely, occasionally, Leo would visit the research camp, sometimes at night, sometimes early morning. The Bobcat would sit at the edge of the camp, observing from a distance, and when Dursum appeared, Leo would come a little closer, then disappear into the darkness. 1 year later, research camp Dr. Sam was sitting writing reports in his tent. When he heard a soft sound outside, he stepped out to find Leo standing a few meters from the tent. But the bobcat wasn't alone. Beside Leo were 2 small bobcat cubs, perhaps only a few months old. Leo looked at Dr. Sam, then gently nudged the cubs forward as if wanting to introduce them. "You found a new family." Dr. Sam smiled, kneeling to see better. "And you want them to know I'm not a danger." Leo and his cubs disappeared into the bushes after a few minutes, but they would return. Dr. Sam knew this. The lessons of love and trust that Ma had taught Leon never faded. They were passed from one generation to the next, like a precious heritage in the wild world and under the star-filled sky of the African savanna. The story of maternal love crossing species boundaries continued to be told, not through words but through acts of love and sacrifice.